So we're going to talk a little bit. I did want to talk a little bit. Today is Rant Wednesday. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to rant because there's parts of what Lirik said that I actually agree with, but it was more the way that it was stated. And there's also parts I don't agree with. So if you don't know the tweets in question, I'm going to bring them up here. It's kind of caused a little bit of a shitstorm, which again, Lyrik's a huge person, like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, kind of solo streamer personality on Twitch. And I guess probably the biggest as far as viewership goes, because he basically always has like anywhere from 20 something K to 30K doing watching whatever he does. It started with these tweets 16 hours ago, and I'll just read a couple of them. He said, if you are a new broadcaster on Twitch and you already have donation overlays / donation links, you are doing it wrong. And then he says, I put a tip jar after 1.5 years of streaming. If you don't start your streaming career, in quotes, with fun, in quotes, in your mind, you are fucked. Which, parts of that I agree with, parts of it I don't. We'll just break these down. Also, don't give me this bullshit about supporting the little guys, in quotes. You don't need money as a little guy. Fuck off. Which, then you read that one, you're like, okay, that's interesting. And then he said, I started broadcasting when I was 21 in college, and it was a hobby. I had 10 viewers, and then 20 viewers, and then 200 viewers. Stop acting like you are unique. I fucking hate when people are like, yo, man, quit my job to live stream. Support the little guys. Shut the fuck up. You have 100 viewers. You're like, all right, Lyrik's going in. Why the fuck did you quit your job? I streamed on a computer with no side panel with barely 720p 30 FPS. Had to set my games to the lowest quality for a year. Get the fuck out. This is kind of like the, you know, when your parents tell you they went to school in a blinding snowstorm, had to walk 3 miles. It's kind of, this is the equivalent. By the way, this is mainly focused on a bunch of broadcasters I've been clicking around on Twitch and looking at their setup on our Twitch. If you're a new he's triggered by the subreddit Twitch on Reddit, which I totally understand. I've been triggered by that subreddit too. If you're a new broadcaster and you're doing it for the fun of it and want to show people your talents, I wish you all the best. You're doing it right. Clarification, why do you need support, aka money, as a startup broadcaster? He's responding to somebody asking about, like, what do you mean about, you know, if you have as low amount of viewers, you know, why do you need money? You should be focused on entertaining and fun. The fact that people don't agree with startup broadcasters should not have donation overlays or donation links blows my fucking mind. You are clearly in it for the money and fast cash. Why don't you start with a solid foundation and keep broadcasting as a hobby? Once the hobby blossoms into something tangible and meaningful, then expand and grow. Wait for your, oh shit, I have something here moment. And then he kind of clarified a little bit later, because the shitstorm started coming, where he said, those tweets were to Mr. 5 viewers who quit his job and needs support, has ridiculous donation overlays, entitled to get viewers because A plus B. Which, again, I totally... It's funny because there's parts of what Lirik is saying that I actually agree with. It's more the way that he said it, which he's done this before. He just says whatever he thinks. And there's absolutely aspects of what he's saying that is absolutely true. I mean, this is stuff that I've said a million times. And I totally agree, especially, and that, it chaps my ass too, people that quit their jobs and then just expect to be able to be supported on Twitch because they can broadcast. You know what I mean? And that's I don't think anybody thinks that's a smart move. You are not entitled to anything. Quitting just because it's your dream and you quit your job, and then you put donation overlay saying pay my rent. I mean, that's just dumb. That's just bad. That's just living your life in a poor manner without very much chance for success. Like, I don't really think there's much argument when it comes to that. Charlie. Well, I guess what he said doesn't apply to you. You are clearly not a small person. Fat jokes right now, Charlie. I'm turning down the donation sound. And a lot of what Lirik is saying is true. But a lot of what Lyrik's saying is also not true because it's black and white thinking. It's painting with a very fucking broad brush. The truth is, making money on Twitch and having fun are not mutually exclusive things. And they never have. They never have been. It's not this. Are there people on Twitch right now just to make a fast buck? Absolutely. 100%. Are there people on Twitch who are just in it for the fun and would love to see it blossom into something and are just, you can tell that they're having fun or doing whatever else? Absolutely. But the truth of the matter is it's not mutually exclusive. You can have fun and make money on Twitch, and you can also make no money on Twitch and be miserable. I mean, there's so many different combinations of factors. So I think, and I understand what his sentiment is. He's reacting to the people he goes and sees, and I've seen a lot of these broadcasters too. I totally understand where he's coming from, where it's like, pay my rent, pay for food, you know, and it's just like, it's not my fucking problem you quit your job. And his advice in the sense of like, make sure it blossoms into something. You have your oh shit moment. I can absolutely do this. I totally agree. That's what I had. I mean, I started streaming on Twitch out of actual necessity, but never because I thought necessarily it was going to lead to a career. And I had fun doing it. I got laid off at Machinima. I freelanced for a year. It was the most painful year of finances of my entire life. I got into debt. I was like, well, I might as well just stream on Twitch. I had a partner channel that I was sitting on for forever. That I wasn't doing anything on. I think I had like 50 subs maybe, or 40, maybe even less. And so I just started doing Twitch, and organically it grew and grew and grew, and to the point where I was like, holy shit, like I can live off of this. So I totally understand where he's coming from. That was my experience. But the truth is, Twitch is is so different than it was even when I started out, and even much less when Lirik started out. He had a head start even on me. He was definitely doing it before. And the ecosystem and the way that Twitch works now is so different. It's just like YouTube used to be back in the day, right? YouTube back in the day, and I started on YouTube pretty early during the Modern Warfare 2 commentary boom, or even I was during the Modern Warfare 2 time. Obviously, there was COD 4, Blame Truth, and Hutch, and all that kind of stuff. But it used to be if you had an HD PVR or a fucking Dazzle or whatever else, or if you had the equipment, you were in an elite club of people that just for the sake of having the equipment being uploaded to YouTube, you had somewhat of an audience, right? You had an audience that was there. And if you want to, oh yeah, you guys are wanting to look at the Lirik tweaks, just go to his timeline. I'll just put it here. You can see what he said. And that was it. And a lot of people, and at a certain level, you just kind of had to be a lottery winner, right place, right time, all that kind of stuff. And he also, Lirik has kind of, he did with a lot of his comments kind of clarify to people and stuff like that. Because he does it does sound like he's coming across as just like jaded and like doesn't appreciate where he is and all that kind of stuff. And I really don't think that's actually true at all. Because he does state, like he states the same thing. If you're a streamer and doing this full time, one of the biggest things that you always worry about is it's just going to evaporate and wash up and just go away. Because it is such a legitimately dream job for so many people, me included, to be able to play video games and interact with people and like have that pay the bills for the most part. Like I'm definitely small fish on Twitch. I haven't, you know, I'm not rich by any means. I mean, I make enough to be able to live like a comfortable life. And that's great. And like, for me, that's been fantastic. But even me being able to do that where I am now, like if you look at my followers, if you look at my views overall, you know, I'm a pretty small fish. And I'm blessed to be where I am, where I started, have the core support that I have from you guys and the people that have watched this channel, whether they followed me from Respawn or my own personal channel or whatever else. I'm really lucky. But the reality is, when I started, it still wasn't near as saturated as it is now. And the thing is, it's just kind of a little bit out of touch for Lirik to be stating that the way that he did it is the only way that it can be done. And that's kind of what he's saying. And, you know, again, he's entitled to his own opinion and stuff like that. And that's totally fine. But at the end of the day, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing on Twitch. It isn't. And especially with how competitive it is. I mean, it's no lie that broadcasters that are my size, you know, Sham's bigger than me as far as like, Sham's in here right now, so I'm going to use you as an example. Sham, you're bigger than me as far as viewership goes. You know, YouTube and stuff like that. So Sham would be like another tier up. And then, you know, we have people like Diction that are kind of all in that sphere. But broadcasters of like our size and even a little bit lower, like there's been a massive dip in viewership, in discoverability, and a lot of stuff on Twitch. And basically it's because the way that Twitch is set up right now, if you take a look, unless you are in the top, maybe top 5, top 10, and it depends on the game that you play. A lot of times, you know, I can be in the top 5, top 10, or not necessarily top 5, maybe top 10, top 15. But if you are anywhere below that, the odds of you getting any kind of like decent viewership are very, very difficult. And unless you do the schmoozing, you play with people, and again, there's nothing wrong with any of that. That's all stuff to actually help you grow. And it's important. But unless you do that and connect with the right people and then hopefully get your break in some form, the odds of you being able to do this full time apart from whatever, like I said, whatever your break is or whatever else, or somebody really shooting you to the top, or getting hosted by Co-Carnage or whatever else, you know what I mean? Are very, very slim, and much slimmer than they were a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago. I mean, it's insane. The saturation on Twitch. Twitch is now in the level of kind of where YouTube is, right? Where there's just millions of channels that you can get the same kind of content from. And so it isn't a one size fits all. And in a perfect world, you would be like, man, the cream will always rise to the top, right? Like, if you're a talented broadcaster, you deserve views, and you're gonna be able to weed out the people that just want to do it for the money and whatever else. And if the Twitch ecosystem was set up like that right now, I would say on a certain level, I agree with Lirik. Like, just do it for the fun, and if you're good, you will rise to the top. But the truth is, that's not how it is, and it's not necessarily anyone. I'm not blaming Twitch or whatever else, but that's just what comes with saturation. Do I think Twitch absolutely has to do something about discoverability and categories and all? Absolutely. I mean, I could talk for hours on that stuff. And I've talked to Twitch employees directly about it, and they agree. And it's not falling on deaf ears. I know they're going to work on it. But it's tough depending on your size and being in the space, and especially if you're smaller than me or whatever else. It's difficult. So I think at the end of the day, when it comes to the Lirik comments, a lot of the sentiments that he's expressing, I totally agree with. But I don't think it was stated in the best way. I mean, he was fired up. I mean, and the thing is, somebody with Lirik's size, right? If he gets fired up, and then people obviously going to take to offense of it more than somebody that's smaller, or if Lirik was just a broadcaster with 100 viewers, people would be like, well, whatever, he can say whatever he wants. But just saying that if you're like a new broadcaster and you have a donation button or whatever else, that you're just in it for the money, that's just not, I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that's accurate at all. And honestly, making money and having fun are not mutually exclusive. He's also talking directly to, I would want to talk about this. He's also talking to about entitlement, and seeing that kind of entitlement mentality. And that's something that I've talked about on this stream a million times, where people go, hey, I'm doing the same thing as this person. Why don't I have any kind of success? I deserve success. It's like, you don't deserve success. You can work hard to try to get, you can work hard, you can stream a lot, you can network, you can do whatever else, and you have a chance. You have a chance at success. And I've been given tons of breaks along the way. No matter how talented or how entertaining or whatever else I think I am, and trust me, I don't really think I'm that entertaining or talented, but any of that, all of that stuff included, it involved breaks. It involved shit like Hutch seeing my YouTube channel early on, me getting hired at Machinima, like, despite that, that being an up and down kind of thing, that got me a certain level of notoriety, that kind of got people noticing me on a different platform. Breaks are just part of the deal. And, it's not, and I think people don't understand that, and people don't understand kind of the lottery mentality of streaming. And then some people try to take it in their own hands, like ViewBots or whatever else. Sham talking about, if it wasn't for Nanner's channel, if it wasn't for CNanners, my channel would have taken forever to grow. Exactly. And the same thing with Hutch. Like, I had zero viewership. I literally had, I started my YouTube channel, I uploaded a gameplay thing. Hutch saw it. He was like, hey, you want to come on Camp Hutch? I was the first episode of Camp Hutch, and that jump started my channel. I mean, I don't care how talented I thought I was or whatever else. Like, that was my initial break into the scene or whatever else. So, it's just good though. I like having this kind of conversation, and also I do want to stress too that I do feel like people think that streaming is this is not like a woe is me, like streaming's a tough job or whatever else. But people look at streaming and they just go, there's no downsides to it, and I really think a lot of people actually think that. And for me, streaming is the best job I've ever had. It's always what I've wanted to do. I mean, I say streaming, but just being in kind of an entertainment kind of sphere where it's like I get to interact with people. I get to kind of just produce my own show, so to speak, and just do whatever. Like, this is always what I've wanted to do. I've always been like a creative person in that sense. This is why I love what I do. But there's a lot of shit that goes on behind the scenes. People think donations are free at tax time. Like, there's a ton of shit. Health insurance. There's a ton of shit that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see. And I will say the grass is always greener on the other side. Whether it's coming from somebody that's working a job that they absolutely hate and looking at a streamer and going, man, that, if I could just do that, I would be happy. Or it's somebody like me streaming going, man, I miss that interaction of going, like, having camaraderie with actual physical people, because I'm a very social person. Like, you know what I mean? Streaming can be very isolating. It's like, man, if I just had like a normal health insurance plan, I wouldn't have to fucking figure all this shit out. Like, there's a lot of shit on both sides of the fence. So anyway, I think it's I think Lirik raised a good topic to be able to talk about, to be able to get us to talk about this, because I mean, It is. It's good to talk about it honestly. But what do you guys think? I'm down to. Sorry, Trash's thing went by super fast. I also don't think people take into account these same people, streamers, YouTubers, have been doing this for 4 to 7 years. Good point. A lot of people. It's not easy peasy. It takes hard work and a lot of effort, like everything else. People try for a few months and give up because it's so saturated now, but still. But agreed. And that's kind of trash. That's going back to the idea that there's also other avenues, whether it's YouTube or whatever else, that helped me with my streaming career and a lot of other people. It's very hard. I mean, it's very hard if you don't have those connections or that base from the beginning. And I wish everybody the best. If you know, someone honestly, like somebody that does it, that starts from zero, right, and has no connections and has nothing else and builds their way up on Twitch to being at the top of Twitch or the top of YouTube or whatever else in this current climate, like that is incredible, because that means not only are they talented to a certain level, either they're talented or they've gamed the system. Sometimes it's usually in between, but you know, that's an incredible accomplishment, especially in the climate that it is now. But I guarantee you, whoever those people are, they've had some serious breaks along the way, along with their hard work and putting themselves in a position to do well. So yeah, you put a lot of work into it, and maybe it pays out. I mean, absolutely, Raffle. I mean, again, but people don't really have that mentality. I feel like a lot of it is, you know, and we're humans, right? There's a certain level of, it's like, man, I'm grinding this out, it's not working. You know, this person's doing the same thing I'm doing and it's working for them, but it's not as simple. It's like, are they just working harder? No, maybe not. They probably just had some breaks. That's all. If APO could focus as hard as puzzles as he does on rants, we would have finished Uncharted 4 by now. Good one. People just think that they have talent or bring something new when doing something, playing games, but they are just generic, very naive to the saturation of how Twitch is. Yeah, I mean, just playing games alone is, I mean, that ship sailed 1.5 years, 2 years ago. Again, in the sense of just having the technology to be able to stream, that doesn't get you anything. You really have to bring something, whether it's, I mean, when it comes to Twitch streaming, you have to be the focal, you have to be the reason people are there. Unless you're a pro, right? Unless you're somebody that plays the game at an extremely high level, okay, that's different. But that's like maybe 0.5, maybe 1% of Twitch, right? The top people that are just, maybe more than that, but people that are pros that people just watch for their gameplay because it's, you know, because they're some of the best at what they do. For the rest of us, we have to be, whether you have to be the focus, like people have to be on board to do stuff with you. You have to be the thing that's selling your channel. Drewby said, back in the day, I always really appreciated how hard people work to make it on YouTube, and I think the same still applies to Twitch. Unique, work hard, get a little lucky, work even harder, maybe success. Yeah, that's a fair little flow chart right there. And that's a great point Welsh brings up too, because, and that's the other thing that Lirik said, where it's like, if you have 100 sub 100 viewers, or you have 100 viewers, like you don't need money. And the thing is, where Welsh is saying, regular viewers like to give money to small streamers just for entertaining and putting in hard work. That's why a lot of people have donation buttons on there, and I totally agree. If you're a smaller streamer and somebody, you know, and you have a smaller group of people watching you, but someone donates to you, that's a huge deal. I mean, it's still, when people donate to me now, it's still a big deal, despite like whatever, I'm a little bit bigger than a smaller streamer. Totally. And that's totally valid. That's what I'm saying. So just like blanket acting like if you have a donation button, you're just in it for the money, it's just not true. It's just not the way that it actually is. Are there some people like that? Sure, but you don't have to paint everybody with that brush. Ewick just commenting on you know, some people like to support smaller streams. They like the environment. I agree with that. I like watching Tomb because he talks about what he does when he plays CS:GO. There you go. See, there's a lot of ways to it. Educational streams. I mean, Tomb has generally pretty good CS:GO gameplay. I mean, there's different ways at it, for sure. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say the only. I guess I shouldn't say that like you can only, people can't only be there for, or only can be at your stream for your personality. That's not true. There's people, but I guess it is true if you're more of a teaching personality. I guess they're still there for that. I mean, I guess there's different ways. But if you're a pro, they're watching your gameplay. Maybe you're teaching them. Maybe you're really good at a game. So then, sure, you don't have to be the most animated or whatever else. There's a lot of different kind of ways that the personality stuff shapes out. I wouldn't know who the hell you were if I didn't see you on inbox. So Sark boosted your popularity. Machinima and Respawn did. Absolutely, 100%. That's a break. I think people need to stop caring, though, so much about what other people do and why they do it. Fuck it, APL Fisher. If Leia wants to show puss and some teenage dweeb wants to view bot his gambling stream with a donation goal, that's just the way things are. People need to stop victimizing themselves and suck it up. I mean, that is seen. I don't fully agree with your point. I mean, again, yes. Constantly caring about what other people do is not going to ever, I mean, you can talk to any successful person ever. That's getting caught up in the mire of what other people do isn't going to help you. And it can be used as an excuse to like, well, the only reason I'm not successful is because, you know, since somebody's showing their vag, that's why I'm not successful. And that's not totally true. APL is the only channel that I'm sub to, only channel I watch regularly that's not esports. Am I doing Twitch wrong? No, you're doing it totally right, Filthy. Totally right. Don't go anywhere else. Just always stay here. Seriously though, yeah, you don't need to go anywhere else, man. You're safe here. Okay, it's a safe space.